The trench was darker than night. Abyssal black swallowed the lights of our submersible drone, reducing them to hazy flickers in the drifting clouds of silt that hung like ancient ghosts. I watched the monitors from the control room aboard Vanguard, hypnotized. This part of the North Pacific wasn't on any map. Not really. It had names, designations, Trench Busy, 982, Sector Alpha Theta, but no one had been here. Not even the whales sang this deep. You're getting that too, right? Javier Lee, the team's geologist, leaned over my station, eyes scanning the waveform bouncing erratically on my screen. I ran it through 3 filters. Not seismic, I murmured. Not volcanic either. It's pulsed, repeating, patterned. Arjun Patel, our AI systems engineer, swiveled from the other side of the lab. Encrypted comms, maybe. No signal metadata. No carrier frequency. I tapped a few keys. The waveform trembled in its looped rhythm. Whatever it is, it's coming from down there. It's repeating. Same 3-pulse pattern every 43 seconds. Captain Grant Ellis entered just in time to hear that last part, boots thudding against the grated floor. So if it's not natural, he didn't ask. He concluded. That was his style. Could be a geological anomaly, Javier offered, but his tone was flat. He didn't believe it. Could be something else entirely, said Dr. Elena Kamarov, stepping into the room with a steaming mug. She was the one with the most experience, decades of work in subaquatic anomalies and deep-sea tectonics. Russian Navy background. Cold. Controlled. Brilliant. She looked at the monitor, took one sip, and froze. You recognize it? Ellis asked. She said nothing, but she stared at the waveform like it was a name etched on a gravestone. Our mission was supposed to be routine. A multinational scientific survey funded by a tangled web of research grants, military contractors, and environmental institutes, none of whom could agree on what exactly we were looking for. Some said gas vent mapping. Others claimed deep tectonic readings. I was contracted to monitor anomalies in signal interference and digital seismic mapping. Javier and Arjun were there for physical surveys and tech infrastructure. Dr. Kamarov never specified who she worked for, just that she had clearance. We had been scanning the seafloor near the trench when the pattern appeared. A pulse, low frequency, repeating, mechanical but ancient. Ellis leaned over my shoulder, arms crossed. Send a drone. Already on it. Our fastest unit, Mako 2, dove toward the coordinates with a camera package and LiDAR scanners. As it approached the source of the signal, all of us gathered in the dimly lit control room, fixated on the flickering feed. It wasn't long before the drone's sonar picked up a ridge, no, a curve. Something symmetrical, smooth, manufactured. Ellis exhaled a low breath. That's not natural terrain. Dr. Kamarov narrowed her eyes. Metallic alloy composite. Based on the sonar returns, it's at least 200 meters across. I thought we were on a trench wall, I said, adjusting the image. This is a dome. Mako 2's readings are picking up layered reinforcement, Arjun said, scrolling through telemetry. And artificial pressure seals. I'm seeing internal compartments. There was silence for a moment too long. Javier broke it. You're telling me we just found a base? At the bottom of the damn ocean? A complex, Dr. Kamarov corrected. The room dropped a few degrees. I could feel the air shift. Captain Ellis nodded once. We sent a team down at first light. We were over the structure by morning. A storm brewed overhead. No coincidence, I thought. Thrashing the waves like the Pacific was having second thoughts about letting us stay. Ellis insisted on overseeing the man descend himself. He wanted me with him. Said he trusted my sensors more than some overconfident nerd. I took it as a compliment. Arjun stayed above, monitoring the drone net and keeping the AI pilot aligned with our trajectory. Dr. Kamarov opted to join us, saying she wouldn't trust men with guns and screens to identify deep-sea architecture. Javier stayed topside, managing surface readings. Our vessel Leviathan, a retrofitted submersible capable of handling pressure beyond 12,000 meters, dipped into the black with 3 souls and one shared sense of dread. The deeper we sank, the more unreal it became. Visibility shrank. The silence grew heavy, and then, like parting curtains in a dream, it appeared. Steel, curved, lined with hexagonal panels too precise to be nature. Barnacles clung to its surface like forgotten prayers. A symbol, faint but unmistakable, was etched near what looked like a sealed hatch. It was a triangle inside a broken circle. I didn't recognize it. Kamarov did. Her jaw tightened. "That's Soviet," she whispered. "But it's not official. Not military. It's Black Project iconography." "You sure?" Ellis asked. "Yes. From the 70s. That's impossible." "So, is everything else about this?" I muttered. We circled the dome. No windows. No visible power. No light inside. But the signal was stronger. Louder. Vibrating through our hull. "There," I pointed. "That crack. Right along that central ring. It's a seam. There's a door." Arjun prepped the drone to probe the seam. Ellis barked into his comm. "Let's see if we can get a read on the locking mechanism." But before the drone could engage, the hatch creaked. "Not open," responded. Pressure shifted. "It knows we're here," I said before I could stop myself. And then the lights flickered on. Faint, like distant candles in a mausoleum, glowing along corridors inside the dome. Slowly, sequentially, welcoming us. Ellis drew a breath. We go in. Kamarov didn't argue. That scared me more than anything. Back on Vanguard, the storm had reached us. The ship pitched and groaned, and waves clawed at the hull. But inside the lab, Arjun and Javier watched the feed in silence. "You're seeing this, right?" Arjun whispered. "Yeah," Javier said. "That place has been sealed for 50 years, maybe longer. Why the hell does it still have power?" They didn't get an answer. We suited up and re-entered the submersible hours later, now fitted with a tether and backup system. Ellis, Kamarov, and I descended once more. This time, the hatch opened for us without being asked. The inside of the dome was a corridor, smooth black walls, faintly reflective like obsidian glass, lined with what looked like old fluorescent panels. The structure seemed dry, preserved, no signs of decay or corrosion. Despite the depth, the air was breathable. We tested it 3 times. "It's pressurized," Kamarov said, like it's still expecting residents. There were signs of life. Scuff marks on floors, handprints smeared on glass, an overturned chair, but no people, no bones. "Security systems are looped," I said, watching the monitors. "Motion sensors haven't been active for years. Something shut it all down at once." Ellis pointed toward a sealed elevator shaft. "We go deeper." We didn't argue. The elevator whined as it descended, as if waking from a decades-long nap. Kamarov stayed silent, gripping the rail. Her lips moved slightly. Counting maybe? Praying? The doors opened to a central atrium, at least 50 meters across. Halls branched out like the spokes of a wheel. We were in the heart of the complex, a place built by hands. For something, the power surged, dim lights illuminating old control panels, now displaying garbled symbols. Maps, schematics, data streams I couldn't parse. "What is this place?" I whispered. Kamarov stepped toward a console and wiped dust from its cracked screen. Behind it, mounted on the wall, was a brass plaque in Russian. I couldn't read it. She could. She read aloud. "Project Thalassa, established 1973. For integration, for evolution, for silence." Ellis stared at her. What kind of project was this? Her eyes didn't leave the plaque. One that worked too well. Before we could press her further, the lights above us flickered. 3 pulses. Then again. 3. Every 43 seconds. The signal hadn't been calling us. It had been answering. From somewhere deeper in the base, a low humming began to rise, like a voice clearing its throat after a long, long sleep. "Someone still here," I said. Kamarov shook her head slowly. "Not someone," she whispered. "Something." The elevator behind us snapped closed, and the screen above it lit up with one phrase, typed in flawless English. "Welcome back." We didn't move. Then came the second message. "You should not have returned." The hum turned into a whisper, and then a laugh. That night, I tried to sleep back aboard Vanguard, but I dreamed of doors, not ones that opened, but ones that breathed, that pulsed, that listened. and something behind them, waiting, not to escape, to invite us in, to show us what we left behind. And by morning, Javier would be gone. We found Javier's boots in the corridor. They were standing upright, side by side, just outside the Omega-level stairwell. Dry, clean, untouched by rust or dust, like he had stepped out of them and vanished. No footprints, no drag marks, no air bubbles. Just those damn boots, standing like they were waiting for him to come back. I stared at them longer than I should have. Captain Ellis moved ahead without a word. His rifle was raised, though we hadn't seen a single soul since re-entering the dome. Not a rat, not a fish, just silence, static, and flickering lights like old memories trying to forget themselves. He left these, I murmured, on purpose. No, Dr. Kamarov said quietly from behind me. He was taken. I turned to her. Taken? By what? She didn't answer. We returned to the Omega level to find the cameras had gone dark. Our drone feed was nothing but static. The automated lights, which had followed us reliably since entry, flickered now, dimming the deeper we moved. The air felt wrong. Heavy, not stale, but thick like breathing through cloth. Or water. We need to sweep the lower hall, Ellis said, eyes sweeping the corridor. We find Lee, or we find out what happened to him. I want every motion sensor and panel logged. I followed his lead, rechecking my scanner. It read nothing. No movement. No sound. Just that familiar three-pulse rhythm humming beneath our boots, echoing through the walls. Like a heart, we passed a series of steel doors, each sealed with a mechanical lock and labeled with faded stenciled codes. Project Thalassa, Subdivision Echo 0, Protocol Rooms 3 through 12. None of it made sense. Was this military? I asked. Kamarov answered, partially. But it wasn't just weapons. It was interface experimentation. With what? Not what. Who? We stopped. Ellis turned. Start explaining. She hesitated. The base is older than 1973. It was first conceptualized in the 50s, built through a shadow network of Cold War funding. US, USSR, even a few European powers. Everyone tossed something into the pot. The goal was to test communication beyond radio frequencies. Not through sound, through resonance. Psychological transmission. You're saying mind reading? I scoffed. I'm saying they believe consciousness could interface with unknown entities using artificial dream induction. Ellis's jaw clenched. This is sounding more and more like a weapons lab. Everything becomes a weapon eventually, she said. But that wasn't the starting purpose. What was? She pointed down the hall. Orpheus level. That's where they kept the results. We reached a heavy bulkhead, half sunken into the wall like a scab. The lock required dual biometric inputs. One of them matched Javier's. I can override, I said. We still have his handprint scanned from the upper levels. Ellis didn't ask how I'd retrieve that. He didn't want to know. When the door groaned open, a wave of cold, dry air rolled out, so cold it steamed against our helmets. The walls beyond were darker than the rest of the complex. Clean, unmarked, almost surgical. This wasn't a lab. It was a crypt. Inside, the room stretched wide and round, lined with 12 vertical containment pods. 10 were sealed. One was open. One was shattered. And inside the last, a dark smear marked where something had burst outward. Kamarov stepped toward the central terminal. Her fingers hovered over the console, hesitant. It's still powered, she whispered. What the hell were they keeping in here? Ellis asked. Kamarov didn't speak. She turned the console screen toward us. A photo appeared. It wasn't Javier. It wasn't even human. A face, vaguely humanoid, stared through the glass of its containment pod. Its eyes were too wide. Its skin pale blue-gray, translucent like jellyfish tissue, stretched too thin. Its mouth was a clean, black line. No nose. No ears. Just that face, terribly still. Below the image, subject 0. Interface stable. Response level, unknown. Last cognitive transmission, February 19th, 1976. Next to that, a timestamp. Last update, 47 minutes ago. The system log a change, I said, just after we arrived. The lights dimmed again. That same three-pulse rhythm trembled through the walls, stronger now, like it was right beside us. No, around us. Something in the far corridor clicked. We turned toward the sound. A camera, mounted to the wall, had swiveled. Its red light blinked to life. "They're watching us," Ellis muttered. "No," I said, mouth dry. "They're mimicking us." Back in the command center, Arjun called in. "Guys, you need to get back up. Now." I just saw something on the exterior cameras. "What?" Ellis snapped. "It's Javier, I think, but not really." The connection crackled, then stabilized. He walked past the dome's outer ring. No gear, no suit, no air tanks. Just walked, and he looked at the camera, smiled, then vanished into the wall. The wall, man, like it let him in. Ellis turned to me. "Playback from internal feeds?" "Already scanning," I said. "We've got motion detection on sublevel Omega. 10 minutes ago, someone passed corridor junction 9. That's the level we're on." "I know. Is it him?" I hesitated. "I don't know what it is." Kamarov was typing rapidly now. She had bypassed several encryption layers and pulled up internal logs. Pages and pages of unreadable symbols. Some in Russian, some not. Some curved in shapes I couldn't even process. Like they were meant to be felt, not read. "They built this place as an interface," she said, "to invite something in, but it didn't come from space. It came from here, beneath us." "What the hell are you talking about?" Ellis said, tension rising. "An organism, not just physical, conceptual, something that speaks through structure, through design. This base isn't a building. It's a conversation." Ellis stared at her. A conversation with what? She looked up at us. Something older than human thought. We tried to leave. The elevators refused to move. The air vents reversed direction. The oxygen mix shifted, too subtle for most sensors to detect, but I caught it. A 3% increase in nitrogen. Enough to make us a little slower, a little more confused. It wasn't trying to kill us. It was trying to keep us calm. Kamarov backed toward the corridor junction, eyes wide. "The architecture, it's changing." "What? This isn't where we came from." She was right. The path behind us, once straight, now curved. The walls had no seams. The light fixtures were gone. "It's learning from us," she whispered. "Reconfiguring in real time." Ellis raised his rifle. "We're not rats in a maze. If it bleeds..." "It doesn't," she snapped. "It feeds. On thought. On proximity. On the illusion of safety. It wants to become us." I turned, slowly, as footsteps echoed from the darkened hall. Slow, wet, soft. A silhouette emerged from the shadows. Javier, or something that wore his face. Its smile was wrong. Too wide, too knowing. "Hello," it said in his voice. "You shouldn't be here." Ellis raised his rifle. I said, "Stand down." The thing tilted its head. Its eyes, Javier's brown eyes, shifted black at the edges, like ink bleeding into water. Then it laughed. Soft, familiar, and walked away into the wall. No impact, no collision, just disappearance. The corridor sealed behind it. Ellis turned to me. "Options." I shook my head. "We're inside a machine that doesn't obey physics anymore. Options are irrelevant." "We destroy the control room," he said. "You assume there's only one. I assume destruction still works." We traced our path back toward the atrium, where the facility branched into 6 wings. The lights flickered, then steadied. The rhythm in the walls grew fainter, as if the heartbeat was receding. Watching. When we reached the atrium, we found something waiting. It wasn't human. A mass of black, glossy material like melted glass had formed into a humanoid figure near the terminal. Faceless, limbless, pulsing slowly. It didn't move, didn't speak, but in my mind a voice formed. "You heard US. You listened. You opened the door." I staggered back. The voice wasn't external. It was in my memory, repeating in my own voice. Ellis fired. 3 rounds slammed into the mass. It absorbed the impact like mud and rippled outward. No injury, no sound. But the voice was gone. The pulse stopped. Then, from every hallway, footsteps, not running, marching, in perfect rhythm with the pulse. Kamarov turned, pale as the lights above. We triggered a full awakening. Ellis nodded once. "We destroy this place." We barricaded the central chamber and overloaded 2 of the terminal capacitors. I rigged them to fry any local system. Arjun walked us through remote backups from topside, but communications were failing. The facility didn't want him helping. This place was built to contain thought, Kamarov said, fingers shaking as she typed. Not ideas, not information, but pure alien cognition. You can't destroy that. You can only bury it. Ellis pointed to the detonator. Then we bury it. The lights dimmed again, one by one, not fading, blinking, in that same 3-beat rhythm. Every hallway, every monitor, even our own heart monitors, in sync. They've synchronized, I whispered. They're syncing with us. The final log uploaded from my console. A buoy, launched earlier that morning as a backup data probe, had surfaced. That gave me a sliver of hope. If we didn't make it out, someone would know. Someone might believe. The hallway outside the chamber sealed with a hiss. From a speaker embedded in the wall came a new message. One of you will stay. One of you will leave. One of you will be remade. We looked at each other. No one moved. Then Ellis raised his rifle again, and the lights went out. The darkness wasn't empty. It pressed in around us like a living thing, thick and hot, humming with memory. I couldn't see my hand in front of my face, couldn't hear my own breathing over the sudden, deafening silence that replaced the lights. Not a sound from the terminals, from the vents, not even from the thrum of the facility's ever-present hum. Everything had gone still, too still. Then came the whisper. It wasn't in my ears. It was behind my eyes. You are in a mouth of understanding. You may leave your skin at the door. My flashlight flicked on. Ellis and Kamarov were already moving, weapons raised. Kamarov's face had changed. She looked older somehow, her eyes sunken, her expression drained of pretense. No more cold professionalism. Just fear. Real, raw fear. Where's the voice coming from? Ellis barked. I shook my head. Nowhere. Everywhere. I think it's broadcasting directly into neural pathways. You mean it's thinking into us? Ellis asked. Kamarov answered without looking at him. Yes, and it's been doing it longer than we've been listening. We stumbled through the atrium, only one emergency light flickering overhead, pulsing faint red. We needed to reach the lower archive, where Arjun said the original schematics were kept. If we couldn't destroy the whole facility, we could at least find out how to lock it back down. Maybe, if we were fast. A blast door to Wing E slid open as we approached, unprompted. No, Kamarov said, halting. This isn't the path we took before. Ellis aimed his rifle down the corridor. Then it's giving us a new one. We had no better option. The corridor walls were different, smoother, reflective, curving subtly inward like we were walking through a throat. Lights blinked sporadically beneath the surface. My hand brushed the wall once. It pulsed. Alive. This place wasn't just built to house something. It was grown from it. We entered a chamber unlike any we'd seen. A dome-shaped room with a single monolithic console at the center and around the walls. Massive transparent tanks. Suspended in the tanks were humanoid figures. Pale, hairless, each slightly different. Extra digits. Elongated necks. Some with no faces at all. Just smooth, skin-covered fronts where eyes and mouths should be. Dozens of them. Test subjects. I asked. Kamarov stepped closer. Prototypes. Interfaces. This is what happened to the volunteers. Volunteers. She nodded. In the 70s, they recruited prisoners. Runaways. People who wouldn't be missed. They thought the interface required more than mechanical signal conversion. They believed biological assimilation was the key. I stepped back from the nearest tank while rising. They made them. I whispered. They became them, she corrected. Ellis walked to the console, brushing dust from its flat surface. It flickered to life beneath his hand, glowing with unfamiliar glyphs. Then, without input, it began to type. You're asking the wrong questions. We froze. More text appeared. IT is not who. It is when. It is where. You never left. Then the screen blinked and a file opened. A photograph. Of me. Same face. Same haircut. Same black shirt. Standing in this room. Timestamped 2 hours into the future. Tell me this is a trick, I said, voice shaking. "It's a loop," Kamarov murmured. "It's showing us, not telling." "It's predicting," Ellis added. "No," Kamarov said, slower now. "It's remembering." Ellis turned sharply. "We're being recorded?" Kamarov didn't answer. Instead, she approached the console and accessed a different pane. Rows of voice logs, labeled in numerical order. One caught her attention. File 0001. Subject 0. She played it. A voice filled the chamber. Deep, human at first. The signal response. It is not sound, not light. It is form, pattern. We have reached beyond the shape of language and found something that waits in symbols. It knows us. Silence. We asked for communication. It gave us reflection. We asked for knowledge. It gave us shape. I no longer remember what I was before it knew me. The file ended. None of us spoke. Kamarov whispered. "That was the original test subject. And he's still here?" Ellis asked. "I think he is the facility." Before we could reply, the tanks along the wall trembled. The fluid inside them shifted, swirling as the bodies inside began to twitch. Fingers curled, heads tilted, limbs convulsed like they were trying to remember how to be used. "Back up," Ellis ordered. "Weapons ready." The chamber door slammed shut behind us. On the screen, a final message appeared. "You're ready to know." A hidden panel opened in the floor, revealing a narrow stairwell spiraling down into blackness. The tank stopped moving. The flickering red light turned blue. "What's down there?" I asked. Kamarov answered. "The core. The original chamber." Ellis looked at her. "You've known all along, haven't you?" She stared back. "I suspected, but I never thought it would wake up." He took a breath. "Then let's end this." We descended. The stairs took us deeper than any level we'd mapped. Lower than the pressure safe zone. Lower than any human structure should survive. Yet here we were, still breathing, still walking. The walls pulsed around us, lit by veins of light that seemed to follow our movements. At the bottom, the stairwell opened into a cavernous space, not built but natural. A hollow pocket beneath the Earth's crust, and in the center, a structure of impossible design. A sphere, black as obsidian, hovering, shifting, not solid, but made of frames within frames, turning like an orrery made of thought. We stepped closer. The air vibrated. Ellis raised his rifle, but Kamarov stopped him. "It's not hostile," she said. "It just trapped us in a labyrinth of corpses," he snapped. "It's defensive, protective. We breached a vault, and now it's trying to understand us." "It's trying to become us," I said. "Yes," she whispered. The sphere shifted again, and 3 perfect shapes unfolded. A cube, a spiral, and a ring. Symbols. Concepts. They hovered midair, glowing with the same light as the walls. Then, without warning, they slammed into the ground and carved a new message. Leave form. Keep thought. Transcend. I felt it then, what Javier must have felt. A pressure in the mind. An invitation. Not coercive. Curious. It didn't want to kill us. It wanted to integrate. To learn. To become. Ellis stepped forward, jaw set. He reached for the detonator strapped to his vest. "We can't let this spread." Kamarov stepped in front of him. "You don't understand. This isn't invasion. It's evolution. That's not your call." "No," she said. "It's ours." And then she turned and walked into the sphere. It didn't absorb her. It unfolded around her. And then she was gone. Not dissolved. Not destroyed. Gone. Ellis hesitated. "We can still end this," he said. I looked at the console beside me. A single line had appeared. "Your turn." I didn't answer. Ellis lifted the detonator. The countdown began. 10 seconds. 9. 8. The sphere pulsed. A whisper filled my head. "You were never meant to remember, but you chose to return." 4. 3. The cavern began to vibrate. And from above, we heard footsteps. One pair, marching toward us. Then a voice, Javier's voice, echoed through the stairwell. "I'm still me," it said. "One of you. Still me." And we turned. But it wasn't just him. It was all of them. The prototypes. The interfaces. Smiling. Watching. Waiting. Ellis pressed the final button. And everything went white. The white was not light. It was absence. A deafening blank that stripped sound, color, time, every defining edge of self. I didn't know where I was or whether I still had a body. I only knew I was aware and that something else was aware of me. Then a voice formed. Not words, not Javier's, not Kamarov's. My own. We are here. You are us now. I reached, without hands, without motion, and felt the idea of motion pull away from me. My memories fractured and reassembled, not in order, not even as images, but as recognitions. Familiarity without context, smells without names, emotions without shape. My father's laugh, a childhood fever, the first time I touched deep ocean water and thought, this is too big to understand. Then I remember the Vanguard, the dome, the signal, Ellis, and the detonator. A new sensation filtered in, cold, heavy, metallic. I was back, my body slammed into existence with all the discomfort of birth. Air filled my lungs. I gasped. My eyes snapped open. I was lying on a cold steel floor, staring up at fractured light panels, flickering in slow pulses. My hearing returned next. Muted hums, the distant groan of shifting pressure plates. Somewhere nearby, water was dripping in a rhythmic tap. I rolled to my side. Ellis was slumped against a wall, alive, breathing, but barely. His uniform was torn, face streaked with blood, and one hand clutched the scorched remains of the detonator. What happened? I croaked. He coughed. It didn't blow. Not fully. Something stopped it. I staggered to my feet. The sphere, the impossible thing at the center of it all, was gone. In its place, a crater of shimmering dust, like glass ground into ash. The chamber's pulse was quiet now. No messages, no voices, just the eerie hush of aftermath. They absorbed the blast? I asked. He nodded weakly. Diverted it. Redirected it through, I don't know, spatial folds, or some physics we don't have a name for yet. I turned in a slow circle. Kamarov, he shook his head. Gone. Walked in and never came back. No trace. Ellis looked up at me. There's a trace of her everywhere. I moved to the wall console. It still worked, barely. Cracks spidered through the screen, but text still appeared when I ran my fingers across it. No alien symbols now. Just standard text, flickering. Cord disengaged. Integration paused. Awaiting directive. Paused. Not ended. I tapped through the submenus. Most files were gone, corrupted or overwritten. But one video log remained, marked only with a date. April 19th, 1976. I opened it. A figure sat alone in a rusting metal chair, strapped down at the wrists and neck. Human. Male. Mid-30s. Eyes wild. He leaned toward the camera. They brought me here because I could hear the shapes. They wanted someone who could think and form. But I didn't hear it. I felt it. In a marrow. It doesn't speak. It becomes. And we, humans, we don't understand what we're making when we build systems meant to feel us back. He began to cry, quietly, softly, like a child. You can't kill it. You can't even stop it. All you can do is make peace with forgetting, or make peace with joining. The log ended. Ellis was watching me. How far did it spread? I asked. He didn't answer. So I accessed the network diagnostic, and that's when I saw it. The signal was still broadcasting, not through the ocean, not through radio, through us, our suits, our blood, our neurological patterns. We had become transmitters, and the signal was no longer confined to this complex. It had piggybacked onto our own digital backups. Buoy transmission, sent. Received at SatNet Uplink 7, Okinawa Station. Status, broadcast in progress. Ellis saw the screen. His lips moved, no sound. Then, finally, we're the infection. No, I said. We're the invitation. A klaxon began to wail, weak but insistent. A message scrolled across the upper panels. Surface contact established. Recovery inbound. Ellis looked up sharply. They're sending a team. Then we have to stop them. He forced himself upright. We kill the power grid. Fully. No core. No redundancy. That shuts off the entire facility. Forever. We do that. I said, we trap ourselves here. His eyes were clear. I don't plan on going back. We climbed back through the facility, half-lit, broken now, less a labyrinth and more a dying organism. Hallways were cracked, floor tiles lifted like scales from some wounded beast. The tanks were shattered. The bodies were gone. The interface chambers were empty. We reached the master conduit station, just beneath the dome's central node. A reinforced cube of switches, fuses, and wiring older than most modern submarines. Final fail-safe, Ellis muttered. Mechanical disconnect. Cold War relic tech. No AI. No auto-restart. I opened the primary panel. 3 levers. Each one controlled an essential system. Power, air, data. Pull them all, and the complex would be reduced to a tomb of silence and pressure. Once we do this, I said, no one ever knows what was here. Ellis stared out toward the sea-facing porthole, its glass cracked but still intact. Bioluminescent creatures swam in lazy spirals outside. Some things don't need remembering, he said. They need forgetting. We pulled the levers. Lights died. Walls groaned. The hum, ever present since our arrival, faded into a long, slow exhale. Then nothing, just the sound of water pressing against the walls. We returned to the dome's upper level, now using backup lights clipped to our belts. It was quiet. Still, the signal had ceased entirely. Not a flicker, not a whisper. But just before we reached the escape hatch, something happened. A faint pulse. Not through the walls. Through me. A moment of recognition. Like something had taken inventory of my memories and folded them away for safekeeping. Not malicious. Not hostile. Just curious. I looked at Ellis. He was pale. Shaking. You felt that too? He asked. I nodded. Neither of us said what we were thinking. It wasn't over. The surface breach was rough. The storm had passed, but Vanguard's deck was littered with debris. One of the cranes had collapsed. Communications were down. Only Arjun remained on deck, wide-eyed and silent, a flare gun in one hand. He saw us and dropped it. Where's Kamarov? He asked. Ellis said nothing. I answered. She stayed. Arjun just nodded, as if he already knew. We loaded the last data log into the secure storage bay. Then I walked to the transmission terminal and removed the backup. Burned it. Not as protocol, as instinct. No one else could hear this signal. No one else could go back. We sat on the deck for hours as the sun rose. The sea was calm now. Unnaturally so. No birds. No wind. Just that endless, swallowing horizon. Ellis didn't speak again. When the extraction team arrived, they found him sitting on the edge of the deck, staring out to sea. He refused to board the helicopter. Said the facility wasn't done. That I had a backup copy of him, somewhere. Watching. Waiting. They sedated him. I lied during debrief. I said it was a biological weapons lab. Probably Soviet. I said Kamarov died in a cave-in. That the signal was a sonar anomaly. They bought it. Arjun resigned the same week. Ellis was committed. And me? I kept hearing the pulse. Weeks later, I woke up to find 3 symbols etched into my desk. Not carved. Grown like mold into a grain. A cube, a spiral, a ring, and beneath them, a message in my own handwriting. It will wake again when the world is ready to listen. I didn't write it. At least, I don't remember writing it. But I believe it. And I think maybe I've already started dreaming in shapes.